And please welcome to the 700 Club, the president of Wade Financial Group, Jerry Wade. Jerry, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I have to confess, when this book came across my desk, I thought, well, certainly somebody's made a mistake. This needs to go to Gordon or Pat or somebody else. But as I thought about it and as I looked at it, I thought, you know what, those aren't the guys who need advice. I do, because, you know, I don't consider myself a financial expert like some of the other people that I look to. But I, like so many Americans, want to be wise with the money that God has entrusted me. I want to be wise with how I invest in that nest egg. But how do you start? Is it really possible to think that I could, in my lifetime, build up $1 million nest egg?
That's certainly possible, but before we focus on the dollar signs, we need to recognize that we're already multimillionaires personally in our lives. And where this hit me several years back as I was flying back from Detroit, where I had been seeing a friend who was a multimillionaire financially, but one thing I noticed is that he had been divorced, that his child's room that came to visit him once a month didn't have toys in it, there was nothing on the wall, and I'm flying back to Minneapolis thinking, you know, I'm already a multimillionaire personally. I have $1 million home, I have $1 million relationship with my wife, I have $1 million children, so money's important, but before we focus on the money, recognize what God has already blessed us with.
So you're talking about having an attitude of value then towards your life, your marriage, your kids, your home, whether it's actually $1 million home or not.
That's right.
Having that attitude that it's of value and that you're a person of value.
Yes, I'm already prospering.
Okay. So that attitude of prosperity is important then?
Tremendously important. We need to have a positive attitude for the future about our finances.
And you're talking here about having $1 million wife and kids and home and career and all those things, but what are some practical things that we can do to start actually building up that nest egg? We've got a positive attitude towards the future, but give us some practical advice.
Four-part formula. Part number one, to achieve this $1 million nest egg, number one, how much can you put away on an annual basis? And then number two, how many years do you have? Number three, apply an interest rate to that. And number four, don't let taxes take too big a bite out of that along the way. Let's take, for example, a couple earning $70,000. If they'll simply, over a 20-year period of time, put into their 401k plan, then put about another 10% on an after-tax basis, they can accumulate $1 million in 20 years.
Yeah, but as I was reading your book and reading the chapter that you contributed, there's several contributors to this book, I thought, okay, he's telling me to put away the 15% pre-tax from my 401k or 403b, whatever it might be, then 10% of my gross after taxes, that's 25%. Then I've got a tithe, that's 35%. Then I've got my mortgage and my kids' education. And is that really realistic to think of putting, like, investing 25% of my income, as you're talking about?
It is realistic if you have a positive attitude. If you put away your 10% tithe for God first and then start working and chipping away, you might not be able to put away the full 15 or 20 or 25% now towards your financial future. But if you'll get started, what you'll find, if you're faithful about it, that over time you'll be able to increase that every year.
Okay, so don't look at that big 25% mark out there and say, I could never do that, so therefore I can't start. Start with something.
Start with something, and then recognize, and my chapter is called, it's not what you make, it's what you keep that counts. Mm-hmm. Don't go down to the bank and buy a 5% certificate deposit, then pay taxes on that, right. Lose your rate of return down to maybe 2 or 3%. Then we have inflation. All of a sudden, you're not going to be getting there very quickly.
So you're not even making that 5% once you get taxed on everything.
That's
and
right.
All the other fees and so forth. So find those investments that you're not going to lose tax-wise on.
That's correct.
One of the things that you talk about in your chapter is investing in the stock market and having a majority of your money in the stock market and being diversified. But we've had so many financial experts on this show and other shows, even sitting in the very chair that you are, who say you've got to be focused and you've got to really be smart about the investments that you're making and not diversify. There seems to be a difference of opinion on that right now.
Well, 2 years ago, we had clients coming in our office, too, saying, forget about CDs, forget about bonds. Can you give me the NASDAQ?
Give me that .com thing.
Where's my 70 or 80% rate of return? Well, guess what? That's imploded now. So concentrating too much can be a recipe for disaster. One of the points in my chapter is slow and steady wins the race, kind of Aesop's old fable.
So you've got a tortoise philosophy towards investing. Now, you also talk about having, faith in the future as well, that not just looking at your past, but having faith in the future. What do you mean by that? It sounds sort of vague to me.
Well, a lot of times the media short term will cause us to think the sky is falling. There's so many bad things going on in the world. I shouldn't be invested in stocks or mutual funds. Where in reality, if you look at your whole life, it's been every 10 years has been more positive in America economically than the prior 10. So don't get caught up in thinking that a bear market will last forever and interpolate that into the future. Have a positive attitude about your life and let that carry over to your finances and have a positive attitude and be willing to invest in stocks for the long term. You know, Lisa, stocks are the only thing that people don't want to buy on sale. I think if you go to the mall right now and you see an outfit you'd bought a week ago and it's on sale, it's like, great, I'll buy that one for my sister.
Yeah.
But if we buy a great stock in a company like IBM or General Electric and it goes from $100 to $50, it's like, I don't want it anymore. Well, no, if we're long-term and faithful towards the future, maybe we should buy some more of that stock when it's dropped from $100 to $50. Buy it when it's on sale.
Obviously, buy low and sell high. But for some reason, we have a problem with buying it when it's low. Because we don't have that faith?
We don't have the faith, and
that it's going to increase?
We're fearful, and we're short-term oriented. Our society right now is such a quick fixed society. I want my rate of return. Where's my 80%?
It's not my dad's stock market anymore.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. You also talk about a family getting a financial advisor of sorts, but you're really specific about what to look for, what to avoid in finding someone to advise you about your financial planning.
Find somebody that can work for you that doesn't have the conflict of interest of trying to sell you something that earns large commissions. Think of it in terms of a sports team. Your finances are your sports team. You're the owner of the team. You want to hire a coach. Just think if you owned a sports team and the players were also paying the coach and you were paying the coach. There'd be a conflict of interest there. So with financial advisors, what often happens is that the players being put onto the team that the coach sells you, your broker or your insurance agent, is also paying them commissions.
Right.
So the insurance agent's getting paid, the stockbroker's getting paid, but you thought they worked for you. Well, guess what? They really work for these financial institutions. So we need to eliminate those conflicts of interest.
And they're looking to make that commission on, hey, here's a hot stock, you want to get some, because then they're going to make a commission off of it.
Everybody wants to sell you something, including the magazines, the top 10 stocks to buy now, the top 10 mutual funds to buy now. That's all advertising based. 2 years later, it's a new top 10 on the front of the magazines. What happened to the old top 10 2 years ago?
They don't care about your finances. They just want to sell magazines or television shows or something like that. Okay, real quick, we're running out of time, but the importance and the value of tithing.
Tremendously important. You know, Jesus said if we will put away dollars and put money towards the church, we shall reap as well. So tithing is tremendously important. It's the first principle prior to financial success.
Well, you've given advice that even I can understand today. God bless. Thanks so much, Jerry.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate your time today. Take care.